here, right? But since we only have limited time, maybe 30 minutes or an hour, 45 minutes, I'm sure that I will miss something that some of you may have questions. So before I start anything, do you have any questions that you feel like you want to ask? And just in case I will not be able to cover topics that you are interested in. So do you have short questions that you want to know quickly? You have any? You have or you don't? Or you just wait for me to say to speak? You have any questions? Say, okay, I want to know the so maybe you want to say, well, how many Vietnamese students are there? Something like that, right? So do you have any specific questions you want to ask? No? Okay. So all right. So let me sort of describe to you sort of the global picture, right? So so my geography is not very good. So I say this is Vietnam, right? And then this may be Asia. It's not in proportion. All right. So it's part of Asia. And then you have this ocean, and then you have this land continental. So this is USA and probably Canada here, right? Okay. So this is pretty far away. Okay. So Oklahoma is right around the middle, right? In the old days, people call Midwest because that was before California, Oregon, Washington was discovered or was not used. So Midwest is actually around here. Indiana, Illinois, all these places, they are considered to be Midwest. But in the real geographical distribution, because right now when you fold the map, the center or the central line is really like North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, and then Kansas, and then Oklahoma, and then Texas. Well, Oklahoma is not really a big state, but at the same time, it's not a small state. Okay, so Texas is really big, right? Texas. So this is Texas. Okay, so Oklahoma is not a small state, but a sort of medium-sized state, just above Texas. So Oklahoma, in terms of population, is not a big. Doesn't have a lot of people. The entire state, which is medium-sized, the entire state is about 4 million. Okay, so I'm sure that you'll say, well, that's not a big number. I think Ho Chi Minh City itself maybe exceeded 10 million, probably more. But this is the entire state, right? So Oklahoma State, so now I blow this up, right? So this size is actually like a pistol, right? So this is Oklahoma. So this is this part. Okay. So Oklahoma State is right around here. So this is Stillwater. Okay. And the biggest city in Oklahoma is Oklahoma City. And Tulsa, which is also another big city, is there. So these two big cities will take care of lots of people. This is about, including the suburb, is about 1 million. Tulsa is close to 1 billion. Stillwater is pretty small. So if you look at the entire state, these two will take care of half of the population. And then you have all this state. This is farming state. And the Oklahoma used to be depending on natural gas and some oil and some agricultural products. Okay, so Oklahoma used to rely on natural gas and oil. So when the oil economy is bad, like the last few years, Oklahoma really suffered. Why? Because Oklahoma relies on taking the tax, the revenue from gas or from natural gas or oil. Even in the state, we do not have a lot of oil. We have some natural gas, but a lot of companies, they make their headquarters used to be in Oklahoma, maybe for taxation reasons. So since the revenue would grow. So the state depends on money from oil and gas, and also agricultural product. How small is Stillwater? Pretty small. Including students, everybody, police, teachers, everybody, is 40,000. Right? 40,000 may be a little suburb in Ho Chi Minh City. And how big is the university? Students-wise, it would be like about 24,000. And in United States standard, 23,000, the campus with 23,000 is not small, but it's not big either. So it's somewhere in the middle. So it's pretty big in that relatively speaking. So, but then 24,000 out of say 40,000. So you can see that the majority of the public residents in Stillwater, they are either working, teaching, or studying at the university. Now it's summertime. It's really quiet. 44,000 students, maybe 16 of them left. We may have foreign students or graduate students who work all year long, they remain on campus. But students, undergraduate students, many of them they work, many of them they go to internship, many of them they go home and relax, many of them they go abroad and then enjoy life, take vacation. So right now Stillwater is very quiet. So from Vietnam all the way to Oklahoma, you may say, well, how long does it take? Well, if you're lucky, you get all the flights connected, maybe about 26 hours, 25, 26 hours to get you from here to there and back. Now, I'm not saying about like Seattle or Los Angeles. Los Angeles is here. Seattle is here. San Francisco is here. So if you go from, say, Vietnam to LA to San Francisco and so on, the trip may be shorter because there will be direct flight when you stop over Hong Kong, stop over Tokyo, somewhere, you can get it maybe like 18, 20 hours. But from Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, you have to come to the middle. And then you may have direct flight, you may have to go through somewhere. But even you have direct flight from here to there, you have to wait. So normally from this port to this port, or in fact from this port to anywhere in the world, you have to go here, go there, go here. So we suffer in that regard. But anyway, from here to there, if you are lucky, it may be 26, 27, 26 hours. But a lot of flights would be about 30 hours to 40 hours. 40 hours is really long. 40 hours is really long. I mean, for example, when I fly a lot, so I go here, it was like maybe 27, 28 hours. It was lucky. I mean, it was lucky. And of course, it depends on how much you're willing to pay. Now, in so-called low season, so obviously you want to know how much it costs to visit, to go there, right? In low season, low meaning that certain time of the year is cheap. So for example, high season is like end of May second half, June, July, August, September, and maybe December, late, and then January. So these are bad because you are competing with students, you are competing with travelers, you are competing with family moving around. But if you go between this, go between that, right? So usually it's about $1,200 from the US. You can get it. But now you can looking at about like 1,800 to about 2,200. Okay? Well, obviously this phenomenon is not just applied to Vietnam, it applies to Japan, to Hong Kong, to Europe as well. So you have to look out, right? So if you're lucky, then you may get a good deal. And maybe even if you go to Los Angeles, it may be even like $900. But then from Los Angeles, you have to go here, then it would be typically like $300 to $600, depending on the season. So if you say that, well, you really booked in advance long time ago, then it would be like you can see that. But if you say 1 month, 2 months, then probably this is the amount you expect to pay. Is it expensive? It is expensive, but before we go to the school, I can tell you that the culture in Vietnam and the culture in the United States are really different. But not as different like maybe some other, say, closed-up countries. Vietnam is pretty modern and open. So in that regard, what you guys value, like, okay, you guys like Wi-Fi, you guys like mobile phone, you guys like to study IT, engineering. Over there, the mentality would be the same. People, the kids like from high school to college, they are also interested in mobile app, they're interested in entrepreneurship, they are interested in doing intern in California or Chicago. So that remains the same, right? And probably you will say, well, nowadays the family value in Vietnam is different. It's not like before you live with your parents, you depend on this and that. Over there is also the same. So culture-wise, you may say you like to eat noodles, they don't like to eat that. No, if you go to East Coast, West Coast, Los Angeles, you see the people, whether it's American, whether it's local people, Asian, they probably eat the same kind of food you guys eat. So that is not really, you don't think that there's lots of change. What changes language, right? So you will say, well, you're not speaking, you're not a fluent speaker in English and so on. You're afraid that you get this advantage and so on. No doubt, if I lie to you that that's not true, then I will be really lying, right? So it is a disadvantage. But think about life. We don't always get advantage in our life in order to be successful. Sometimes you have to learn to get fail. You learn to say, this is really hard time. You know, I don't speak the language and the budget is tight and I have courses that I have to deal with. But it's a growing up process. You learn to be independent. You don't go home and somebody cook for you. You have to cook for yourself. You have to clean your dishes. You have to do all these things and you have to worry that what if you get sick and nobody is going to take care of you and you have to catch up with the homework. All these things will come. All these things eventually will haunt you and haunt us. But you just try to learn to overcome them, one after one. And in the process, you grow to be a better person. Not just academically. It's just that, okay, you know how to take care of people. You know how to take care of yourself better. You know how to look back and then say, gee, my parents really treat me well. And that's how you're going to treat your kids and daughters. So you learn all these things. So in my opinion, you may say, yes, you have experienced language barrier. You may experience that academic challenges. But you try to learn to overcome them. I can guarantee that if you work just like the way you work in here, hardworking, do your homework, ask for help, over there is the same. In fact, United States and Western countries, they are countries that always value second chances, third chances. So if you fail, you get behind, you go and ask for help, you give your explanation, teachers, friends, all these people will forgive, will understand, and will give you second chance. So far, it is still true. Many years ago, I went to the country, I saw that. 30, 40 years later, still, the same principle is still true, right? You still get the second chance. If you say, well, I thought that I could do chemical engineering. Turn out you're really bad, right? And then you say, well, can I change? Maybe in some other country it's too late, right? But over there, you can still do it. You can still make it. After that, you could still have a good career in a different field. Many people who graduate with a computer science degree, and then they go to California, go to somewhere, and then they find out they do not really like programming, and they move to maybe doing like some database or something else. Well, they still make good. So what I want to say is that you persist, you learn with your good habit in life, you exercise over there, it will still be okay. You will overcome the language barrier. No, you understand that sooner or later you will speak just like the local people, not exactly like me. We still have accent, but you will understand and you will be able to communicate. Sooner or later you will do that. You just have that confidence. Have your good habit, persistent in learning, all right? Then you will be okay. So now that's sort of an overall comment. So now if you ask me, why should you come to Oklahoma State U and what kind of requirements? Okay, now my figures are not 100% correct, but close to the ball game, okay? I know that you guys do not pay a lot compared to what a foreign student in the United States or foreign country pay. But I will show you the figure. I will write down the figure. All these figures you can easily access on two sites. The entrance is www.okstate.edu. So OK State is Oklahoma State. EDU is just like education, right? So you go there and you can go to academic department like computer science, engineering, or whatever. And also other things you're interested in financial aid, how much you need, campus life, what do you do during your spare time, and so on. So this is really the gateway to many things you want to do. Now, in terms of tuition, right? So the general figure is about this. The local student, whatever that means they are citizens, they are permanent residents in the United States, or they have some special status. 1 year is about 2 semesters. 2 semesters is about 8 to 9 months, right? So not counting the summer, if you take summer credit, to them it's about $12,000 US a year. Now, maybe you will say compared to what you pay, they pay more. But $12,000 a year in the United States is pretty cheap. Compared to other states like California, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, North Dakota, and so on. $12,000 for local student is very reasonable and considerably cheap. So for foreigner, international student, the tuition, I'm just talking about tuition. So this is tuition, right? That means fee. If you have credit, then you pay. It's about $26,000 to $27,000. It's a little bit over 2 times. 2 times is about 24. It's a bit more. So it's about 26 something, 27,000 US dollars for 2 semesters. Now, obviously, it is still a huge jump from what you are paying. But relative to the standards, say, in the United States and Canada, I cannot compare this with Malaysia or Japan or Hong Kong and so on. I can only compare this with the nearby countries. In Canada, for example, undergraduate, if you're a foreigner, you pay more than that. The specific numbers I do not know. But let's say, if you go to California, UCLA, right, which is, anyway, is a good school, but it's a state school, probably you expect to pay about 40 foreign student, not you are Californian, about 40, probably about 42 to 45,000, just tuition. If you go to East Coast, like whether it's good school like Harvard, MIT, and so on, they are charging like 45,000. But if you go to state university like Massachusetts and so on, you are not going to get a break. You are going to be looking at 40,000. Okay. So why Oklahoma State is cheap? Well, actually, if you look at the center, not just Oklahoma, basically the Midwest, right? This part, including Texas, the best school in this region, in this entire line, the best school is University of Texas at Austin. UT at Austin here is probably as good as UCLA, as good as this. So UT here is probably the leading university in this middle, okay? Left and right in the middle. There will be no school better than UT Austin. Oklahoma State is here. So the UT Austin tuition and Oklahoma State, Oklahoma tuition more or less about the same. We charge 27,000. OU, University of Oklahoma, is also charging about 27 to 28,000. UT may be charging 30 to 32,000, something like that. Why we enjoy this kind of lower tuition than the coast, like by $10,000? Just because we are in the Midwest and things are cheaper. That's the reason. Right? So the things are cheaper. Real estate, housing are cheaper. And the area is wide open. And so the East Coast, West Coast, they are packed. So, and also things are more expensive. And labors will be more expensive. So that's why. Now, this is the tuition. Do you get a break? Like, do you think you can get cheaper? No, generally. There will be some, like, scholarship. There will be some scholarship like $5,000, $2,000 US per year. So how do you get that kind of scholarship? You send in an application. So in Oklahoma State, you may get some so-called international scholarship, just for international students. And of course, when after you enter, you can have, say, a local scholarship, right? The local scholarship applies to everybody, including you, international student. International scholarship is tailor-made for international freshmen. Some of you may be transfer student. You qualify. So this amount about 5,000 US dollars per year. And the requirement is that you maintain certain GPA like 3.25. Now 3.25, how difficult is it to maintain? In my humble opinion, if you work hard just like what you are doing now, you can make it easy. Okay? So you can get it, but obviously they also require that your TOEFL score, your English capability. So they force you to say, well, you should maintain certain score in TOEFL or test of English as a second language. So you can apply that. However, it's competitive, right? It doesn't mean that everybody who transfer will get it. You compare with other international students from India, from Pakistan, from China, from anywhere. So is this. Now, any other source that have you? Maybe from Vietnamese government, but I do not know. Okay, so that is a source of the scholarship. You can do this, or you can, once you enter, then you can apply this. There's some local scholarship like, okay, are you interested in science research? Are you interested in math research? Are you interested in mobile application development? So they have competition, and they have research study under the direction of specific professors, and you may get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, say for a year. So it helps. But then you're looking at the price tag, $27,000, $26,000 per year. All right. So mentally you have to kind of prepare. You may get a break, but if you even get $5,000 a year, you still pay $22,000. Okay? Now, does it mean that you should not go? It's difficult to answer, right? When I went to a foreign country, right, I never thought about it. But if you ask me, is it a good experience? Is it worth it? And if I say, if you can borrow money, if your parents have extra money, it's good. Because studying knowledge is irreplaceable. And you may say, well, I can go to Vietnam, I can go to Japan probably to get a better degree. Probably. I don't try to compare university. I mean, different country, different university, they have different competitive advantages. But if you say, well, 22,000, 27,000, and then for 2 years, if you transfer 2 years and then you work hard, you get a degree, is it worth it? 40, maybe overall, including room and board, you say pay 80,000 or about close to 80,000. Is it worth it? Then I say really worth it. 80,000 to to earn the experience, to earn the knowledge that you really learn something independently for 2 years and plan for your future, 80,000 is nothing. You look back, 80,000 is nothing. If you can afford it, if your family can afford it or provide it, then I would say yes. I'm not just trying to sell for Oklahoma State. Okay? Okay, if you 80,000 you go to Harvard, of course you will say yes. Or 80,000 go to UCLA, UC Berkeley, Stanford, yes. But if you say Oklahoma State, is it worth it? Then I say it's still worth it, right? So that is a tuition. Well, how much you have to spend for yourself, right? Oh, it depends on yourself. Now, if you go to the website in the school, then officially they say they charge you $9,000. So in addition to this 26, 27, they say, well, plus 9,000. What does this 9,000 do for you? You stay there and eat, right? So you stay 8-9 months because they don't count the summer. So you imagine that if you stay about 9 months, close to 9 months, you spend about $1,000 a month, right? Now $1,000 a month. Well, why did they budget for you like $1,000 a month? Because they assume that you live on campus, and then you have a meal plan, right? You say you live in a dorm, and then you have so-called a meal plan, right? So do you have to live on campus? So last night I checked on this because I don't want to give you false answer. For freshmen, yes. They advise you to say you live on campus. They advise you. Unless you apply, you appeal, and then say, well, my son and daughter, or I have specific need.